Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK,
And I'm Courtney.
and we recorded our last episode 2.5 days ago.
Kind of 2.5. Maybe exactly 2.5.
Yeah.
I was thinking less than that.
No, there was full day Saturday, full day Sunday, and
Correct.
Friday night. Like that's
Yes. Accurate.
oh well, but then I forgot about the daytime today. So I guess
Oh.
three. I guess three full days.
We did have daytime today, but it's a thing we experienced.
Sort of.
Clearly.
So yeah, I don't know.
Do you have any new stories to tell me? Anything exciting happening in your life?
I mean, always, but I figured I'd do one a day.
Right.
So, Friday, this will be the episode I talk about Friday.
Perfect. Good plan.
Because we're also recording 4 episodes today.
So we don't have to miss any episodes for you guys.
Because my life's about to get real hectic with my birthday and the tech week for the musical I'm directing. So instead of skipping a week for you guys, we decided to kill ourselves and record 4 in a night.
So here we are.
So on Friday, after we recorded, I went to a wake and then out to dinner with my parents. And dinner with my parents was actually really nice and funny. And the guy that I like that I'm not dating, but like I kind of want to be dating, it's a very complicated situation. My dad literally goes, "Do I need to have a conversation with this man about his intentions?" And I said, "Dad, the problem is he doesn't have intentions." My dad goes, "Oh, yes, he does. He's just gun shy."
Oh, George.
I was like, "Dad." He was like, "No, I mean, I've met him and I've listened to every conversation the two of you have had in the last month."
Right.
No, yeah, it's, and I go, Thanks for that.
He's not wrong. I agree.
It's painful to be in my life right now.
Well, it happens sometimes.
How was your Friday?
So the last time we spoke, I was running away from the podcast because I had to go catch a show. And so my show was supposed to start at 8, and I was like, can totally do that. We're going to start recording at 4. Everything's going to be fine. So we got on at 4:20, 4:30, like an early time.
Yeah.
And, then all the internet went out in my apartment.
All of the internet.
And so everything kept going push behind. And by the time this comes out, you have listened to the second Bates Motel episode. I have not, because it has not been released, but
Correct.
I rushed my way through the end a little bit because I looked at my watch. It was 6:15, and I was like, I'm not going to make it to Broadway if I don't.
Oh, no, yeah, it was 7:15. You were like,
7:15.
Goodbye.
All right, well, that's our show today, folks. I think it's still probably an hour.
Yeah, I feel like
short.
I mean, we rushed through the end of all of our episodes because we get to the end and realize we don't actually know how to end a podcast.
Right. And we usually are like, oh, we've been talking incessantly for an hour and we have to stop talking at some point.
Yeah, but the second Stargate episode was only 55 minutes.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
And part of that is because the internet didn't work for half of it.
That is true. I'm struggling. But yes, I made it to the show literally with 5 minutes to spare because I went to catch my train and the train station was closed. And like blocked off completely, not just this train's not running or delayed. Nope. Completely blocked.
Like it was when I left.
Yep.
Ooh.
And so I was like, all right, if I start walking, I had exactly 30 minutes to get there. It takes me 32 minutes to walk to Phantom. So I was like, if I walk fast enough, I probably can make it. It was $35 to catch an Uber. So I was about to run across Manhattan before I paid for an Uber.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I catch a cab, that will cut a little bit of time. I still will be cutting it close, but it'll be faster if I walked. And I found this saintly cab, and it was this little old man, And I got in the car and I was like, thanks so much. I'm going to 44th and 8th. I was like, I'm so glad you picked me up. The train's down. I'm so worried about missing my show. And he was like, oh, we'll get you there. We'll get you there. And he stopped like a block before and he was like, I'm going to go ahead and stop the timer. So what you can go ahead and pay and everything. So when we get there, you can just jump out. And I just like handed him 20 and jumped out and ran it. It was $10. My God, it was $10. And he was like, oh, here, let me get you some change. I was like, no, you can keep whatever you want in my life because you have gotten me to the show that I thought I wasn't going to make it to. I made it. We had orchestra seats, which was dope. And it was amazing. Big disappointment is the girl who normally plays Christine was out that night. The girl who played with Christine was amazing. She reminded me of
Emmy Rossman.
Yeah. And so, like, she was an excellent Christine. Don't get me wrong. I was just really looking forward to seeing the other girl.
Is the Christine understudy?
If you said her name, I'd probably remember. I think it started with a T. But my little input thing. So I didn't have one.
Oh no.
I didn't know what was happening. I was telling Don how excited I was, and he was like, oh yeah, she's not in it tonight. I was like, what? I don't have anything that says that's not true. And he was like, no, it's right here. I was like, oh, mine must have fallen out when I was running.
That's so sad.
I know. I mean, she was amazing. It was excellent. I always love Phantom, so like I wasn't disappointed, but
no, that's so weird that I'm looking at the Broadway. Is it Trista Moldovan?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, because all the swings on the everything that they have on their website just says swings. It doesn't credit understudies.
Oh yeah.
But she played Christine on the national tour, and she's the highest credited swing. So my guess would be that she'd be the understudy for that.
She looks probably like the most like Emmy Rossum that I've seen play a Christine, other than Emmy Rossum. So
was John Riddle phenomenal as well?
Yes.
Here's the thing. I'm not a Raoul girl. Like, I am fully Team Phantom all of the time. But I love John Riddle.
So I'm the same way. And I was Team Raoul this time.
I mean, Ben Crawford's amazing too, but like, I love John Riddle.
You feel creeped out about Phantom, which is how it showed at the end.
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh, he did such a good job I'm so sorry, that's here, not there. And so he did such a good job at making you feel creeped out. So like I adored him. He was excellent. But John Riddle, he did hit his T's a bit in his singing, which caught me a bit. But other than that, but it was excellent. The whole crew was excellent. I'm
so happy to hear that.
I love Phantom. One of my faves.
Speaking of one of the faves, Stargate.
Yes, nice transition.
Way better segue than when I called it a shit show last week, even though it's not.
Very true. Very true. We have done much better this week.
Unfortunately, the show didn't.
I liked this one all right.
I did too. I don't have a problem with this episode, but I will tell you. So this is Stargate SG-1, Season 1, Episode 3, Emancipation. It is rated 6 stars and is
very low.
And is critically received as the worst episode of the entire series, to the point where most of the time in syndication they skip it.
I am shocked. I mean, I liked 1 and 2 better, but I think I liked this episode better than episode 4.
Yeah, episode is received as the absolute worst episode of the entire series.
I can't believe.
Is everything okay over there?
I'm so sorry. My dog is trying to climb on the back of my couch, which my cushions are like Velcro because like I have one of those couches you kind of like just put pieces together.
Right.
And trying to climb on the back of the cushion and it's like unvelcroing because she's like a 35-pound beagle and she's distraught. And so I'm trying to like adjust things for her. I am so sorry. Now she's just standing beside me, so we'll see what happens. It's fine.
The saddest thing about that trivia bit about it being the worst episode of this series is that the writer wrote a similarly feminist episode for Stargate The Next Generation, and that is also credited as the worst episode of that entire series.
Maybe it was because of the time, because I really didn't think this was I've seen 4 episodes, so I don't have a whole wide range, but
it's not, it's just that it has nothing to do with the rest of the show. Like, they don't even mention the gold at all, like in the entire episode. It is just very far removed from the plot of the show.
yeah. I mean, I don't really know the full plot, I guess. Again, I've seen 3 episodes. So, like, it didn't feel super out of place, but I will say that, like, it started kind of feeling like Doctor Who a little bit, how they go into a different, like, time period and they solve an event and then go back. It was like the same thing. They just went through space and not through time and just solved it and then went back. So that it felt kind of Doctor Who-ish, which may be why I liked it and didn't hate it as much as everyone else.
Yeah. It came out on August 8th of 1997. The number 1 song was still I'll Be Missing You, but the number 1 movie was now Conspiracy Theory, starring Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts.
Oh, I have not seen that, but it sounds like it would be up my alley, even though I'm hit or miss on Mel Gibson movies.
Yeah, so it's a movie that's basically like about this. I can't remember if it's him who's the politician or her who's the politician, but like one of them is a politician and the other one is like super thinks the government is behind everything that wrong that's ever happened, and very, very much a movie that probably could have been made yesterday.
Yeah, I heard about this and I don't think I cared to watch it. Now that we're hearing about it.
Yeah. The director of this episode was Jeff Woolnough, who
can you spell his last name?
Woolnoughh.
Okay. I understand what you're saying.
He was the director of Dead Like Me's episode The Ledger. So we have already chatted about him.
He's fine.
Yeah. No. It was written by Catherine Powers. She wrote for a ton of popular shows in the 70s and 80s, like Charlie's Angels, 8 Is Enough, a bunch of the Star Trek stuff. And she will go on to write 15 episodes of Stargate SG-1. So, but apparently this is also the worst episode of the series ever. So there's that.
I would fight someone on that, probably. I don't know yet. Catch me in 100 episodes, I'll tell you if I still feel that way.
There are 3 guest stars in this episode. Sorry, you froze for a second again, and I was like, I'm not doing internet issues today.
Me this time, I swear. Everything's fine on my end.
Okay, good. So we have 3 guest stars.
No, I heard the words internet issues.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good. No. Or we're not good. No, I don't know. You keep freezing.
I paid my internet.
I know.
It doesn't say it's out.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you. Everything says it's fine on my end.
Okay.
It up and set internet unstable like it did last time.
Yeah. All right. The The first of our guest stars is Kerry Hiroyuki Tagawa. He has a MacGyver connection because he was in a bunch of episodes of that. He also has a Joel De La Fuente connection because he plays opposite him in Man in the High Castle. But the reason we should all know him is because he is none other than the original Johnny Tsunami in the Johnny Tsunami videos. Grandpa Johnny Tsunami. Yes.
I'm sorry, I've alarmed my dog. She like looked at me when I yelled.
Yes. So that was Turgan, the leader of the other camp. That was Grandpa Tsunami.
That's amazing.
Yep. Oh, the guest stars are fantastic. And maybe it's just because I watch like everything that has Asian actors in it. So like I love them all, but top notch. The next one is actually, I don't know if he's Asian American because his name is Jorge Vargas. But he looks Asian, which could be Filipino because then he would have Hispanic and
yeah.
But he was played Abu, the son.
And shares the infamous monkey of Aladdin.
Unfortunately, no, not that one. But he was like in a bunch of one-off stuff, like lots of little things. But his role that he was the most famous for, / did for the longest, not really famous, was the role of Blake Bradley, who is a character in Power Rangers Ninja Storm and Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder is the one that I'm currently in the middle of. So I was like, I know him too.
Yep. And call up Cody and talk to him about all your Power Rangers.
Exactly. And the last guest star was Soon Tek Oh, who is a Chinese American actor who played Mughal. And what he is the most famous for is being the voice of Fazu, Mulan's father in Disney's Mulan.
I knew I loved him. When I heard his voice, I must have just been like, the best.
Yes, absolutely. There was a couple moments where I was like, oh no, I definitely hear the father in there. I got it. It's there. So yeah, great guest stars, which kind of made me sad that the episode was rated so badly and like it wasn't bad, but it like wasn't great either. And I was like, but you have like killer cast.
Yeah, very much so.
The episode description, I read it 5 times because the Netflix episode description grammatically does not make any sense. It literally like shouldn't be a sentence. Captain Samantha Carter fights for true love at a, oh God, I can't read my own handwriting. True love. Oh, yeah, true love on a planet where for equality, the women are oppressed.
Oh, no, that does make sense.
But,
comma, for equality, comma, the women are oppressed.
But there was no commas.
Right, but there should have been, but that's how they meant it to be. They just didn't put the commas.
Yeah, but I don't think that makes sense because they're saying that the oppression is equality.
Yes, that's what they did it for. The Mughal people, that's what they said. Mughal, he said that they did that because that was the only way to keep them safe.
But it wasn't for equality. It was for protection. It's not the same thing.
True.
So I didn't like that description because I don't think it was because there wasn't commas. The sentence didn't make sense.
Right.
And it wasn't accurate. But again, most people don't even watch this episode. So
it's kind of a bummer. Like, it's one that I don't think you should just skip it. I'm gonna fight for this episode. Apparently, I don't
Apparently.
one, but I don't dislike it.
So we start with the team coming through the gate into a destroyed temple. And there seems to be no life anywhere on the planet until someone comes running out of the woods being chased by dogs.
So, did the Goa'uld also take dogs to these other planets? How did they?
I could not begin to tell you. They also must have taken horses.
Right. I have questions.
Yeah. The team scares them off, the dogs, and we meet Abu. And Abu immediately starts freaking out and won't look at Sam because there's something to do with women. We don't exactly understand what yet, but he's like, oh no, you're a woman. And starts like screaming. So that's weird. Then we meet some more of Abu's people, and they are a tribe called the Shavadai.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um,
There, yeah. Go ahead.
and Daniel identifies them as having been Mongol people.
Like Genghis Khan.
Yes. And all of a sudden, all of the Shavadai men are trying to fight Sam. Like, I don't. Then Abu's father, who is Mughal, comes and says, like, we can't kill her because she saved Abu's life, but like, you guys will have to come with me and I will teach you the ways of our culture so you understand why everybody wants to kill you.
Right.
And we find out that in their culture, women are not allowed to appear in public with their faces uncovered or in any male clothing.
Right. Which Sam has done both.
Correct. And Mughal doesn't believe in the old ways, he says, but like the law is law. And we see that this tribe is following like traditional Mongolian practices that have been extinct since the Mongols settled in China. So like quite some time. So they say that Sam is going to have to change her clothes and put on lady clothes.
Right. But before this, we also learn about there's a place called the Sea of Ogata.
Yeah. So the Sea of Ogata, they like, so basically, right. So, but basically, I don't even know anything about that. We don't learn anything about it. Basically, Abu's like, you guys look like you're from really far away. How far away are you from? And they're like, oh yeah, like super far away. And they're like, he's like, from the Sea of Ogata. And they're like, sure.
I love O'Neill. And he's like, sure.
Yeah, that, definitely take it.
Whatever.
Right.
I didn't know if that was like a throw in of like next episode. I mean, not next episode, like later on down the road, we're going to go to the Sea of
Nope. It's just another place on this planet that is far away.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah. But when they tell Sam she has to dress like a girl, Jack is unreasonably happy about this.
He is so thrilled.
Like, it is quite literally the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So far. Don't worry. It's going to get more ridiculous. So then Sam goes to dress like a girl and they put her. This is the thing that bothers me about shows like this and why it's the clichéness is why people don't like this episode. Not a one of those women in that tribe is wearing anything other than browns and reds. Everyone is wearing the same colors. So Sam shows up and obviously to match her eyes, she's wearing this gorgeous like Disney princess blue dress. Why? I mean, she looks great.
Right.
But like that's kind of why I see how people had an issue with this episode is because it just is so cliche. it's so cliche in a lot of ways. Like, here's the girl, she's so much prettier than everyone around her, so clearly she's going to save us all from the ways of oppressing women by wearing even prettier clothes and being strong. Like, it's just
Okay, but the movie was rated higher than this, and at least this episode made sense. Like, I knew what happened in this episode. I am disappointed they mentioned a place that we're not going to. At least I am a little upset about that, but I wouldn't have known that watching this the first time through.
right. But so we see her in her gorgeous blue outfit, and all four of the men stare at her like they have never seen a woman before. And I was like, it looks like Abu is in love with her. And then I was like, JK, all of them are. Who are we kidding? It took Jack and Daniel far too long to pick their jaws up.
Truly.
And so dumb. You know that song, I'm just thinking with love.
Yes.
Yeah. And I felt that very strongly in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're talking about the fact that the men get to go to a feast tonight and Sam is not allowed to go because women are not allowed to go. And she's like, honestly, like, I'm not even mad about it. I'm just going to take a nap. Like, I'm going to go to sleep early and it'll be great.
Although if I was Sam, I would have just gone home. I'd be like, look, you people clearly don't want me here. Somebody else can handle this because we're just going to be fighting the whole time. I'll go do something else productive.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I don't understand. No, I don't understand why they were even stayed in the first place.
Because Daniel said we have to learn about their culture and their customs. That's how it goes.
Yes, but clearly Daniel's not in charge of anything. And Daniel gets vetoed a lot. So why in the one episode where we have no connection to any of the alien races that we're trying to find anything about, did Daniel not get vetoed?
Right. Why is he like so insistent on staying too when his whole thing is supposed to be finding Share? And this is obviously inhibiting that journey. So
but in a plot twist that is not a twist to anyone, Sam being alone at night means she gets kidnapped.
I didn't know that was coming.
No, okay, but they were like, she's like, everything's gonna be fine. I'll be safe here in this horrible yurt and I'll just go to sleep. So obviously not safe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna kidnap her though.
No, I mean, I didn't know who was gonna kidnap her. I just assumed she was gonna get kidnapped. But Abu is the one who kidnapped her, and he said that he has to trade her for something he wants more than anything in the world.
And I bet he is super mean because I had no context at this point.
Then we go back to the camp, and Daniel is trying to wake her up so that they can go back through the gate and realize that she is gone. And they're trying to figure out what happens. And Mughal says that Abu is missing too, so Abu must have taken her. And he was like, I want to help you guys. And they're like, no, that's your kid. And he's like, no, like, he has betrayed me too. That's not how we behave.
A run of village.
I love that man.
Actually, I think after this.
Where's that?
98. Didn't Mulan come out in 98?
Yes.
I was gonna say he did, and I was like, no, he didn't do that yet because it was 97.
Yes. I mean, he might have done the voice stuff. I mean, I don't know how long, like, when in the animation process voice work happens.
Right.
But then we go to the other camp where Abu has brought Sam, and we meet Turgan, who is clearly an unpleasant man.
Not a fan.
And then we get to the other thing that pissed me off, that Turgan said that she was beautiful because she was pale and had blue eyes. And as a very, very pale woman with blue eyes who has never been given anything for free just because of how pretty I am, I really, really, really hate that stereotype.
Okay. But to be fair, as a pale woman with blue eyes, she was kidnapped and traded into essentially slavery for a small amount of gold. It was a large amount of gold, but still, and has no rights and nothing good comes from it. Would you rather that or to get nothing at all?
Some days. Some days having someone tell me what I need to do and then care for me does not seem like the worst idea in the world.
But you have much too strong of an opinion about things in life to follow the rules all the time. You would have been beaten. Potentially to death.
I want to argue with you, but I can't. It's true.
You know I'm right.
But then, so Turgan does want to buy Sam, but Abu is like, I want to trade for Naya, who turns out to be Turgan's daughter. And Turgan says, haha, nope, you can't have her. She's going to marry the chieftain Chikawa.
And here's where I got mad. He didn't try very hard. He was like, I want Naya. And he's like, you can have 300 gold. And he's like, you can have like 250 gold. And he's like, no, I want 9. And he's like, you can have 300. And he's like, okay. It's like, what? We just went through all of this for you to not even fight for what you wanted?
Yeah. Children.
Yeah.
So then we go to our friends on the SG team sitting, taking a water break for the horses. And Mughal says that if they can't get Sam back, he will pay the team the money for the loss of Sam. And Daniel is like, fam, we don't own our women. Like, you can't just pay us for her. That's not how that works. And Mughal's like, really? Because basically he's like, it can work. Like, because we find out that women were oppressed and hidden in order to protect them from the Goa'uld. They don't say the Goa'uld, but like this is the only way we even sort of mention that the Goa'uld exist in this episode. But since there are no more Goa'uld here, the oppression isn't really for anything anymore. And we find out that Mughal is one of the only chieftains of any tribe who only has one wife, and it's because he loves her.
He's so sweet. I love him.
And then we go back to Turgan's camp where Abu has snuck into the back of the women's tent area to talk to Naya because they're about to pull some Romeo and Juliet shit.
I thought for sure she was about to run off with him, and I was like, if it was that easy to get her to leave, why did we even trade Sam? Because you tried harder now than you did before.
Correct. But then he's saying some shit to her about, I know you're going to come to me. The wind has told me. And I was like, I am not judging the cultural significance to that statement in this episode. But since I've already made my opinions on Romeo and Juliet-esque relationships clear, I wanted to punch him in the face when he said that.
I felt like he was manipulating her and not saying he actually heard it from the wind, from a spiritual point. And I wanted to punch him in the face for that.
Yeah.
I didn't. If it was true, it was fine, but it didn't seem very true.
Yeah. I think it was actually just him saying that about like spiritual stuff. But in the moment, I was like, shut up. You just sold Sam for 300 gold for nothing.
Exactly.
Then we go to Turgan, who is talking to Sam, and he's like, so like, what are you good at? Can you cook? Can you clean? And she's like, no.
You made a terrible deal.
She's like, and with and among my people, I am a warrior and a scholar. And he's like, I don't need a woman to be a warrior. And she's like, yeah, but I can't cook. And he's like, you gonna learn today.
Yeah.
So she does try to learn how to cook. And she takes the knife from the cooking and hides it in her dress as a weapon. And then does what might be the dumbest thing ever and just immediately tries to run away.
I thought for a second she was going to get away. And I was like, this is not
right.
Well. I was like, what is that?
Because she either, like, it seemed for a hot second that she was actually going to go away. And I go, you don't have a plot if she leaves.
Right. It's like, where is this story going?
But the guards stop her because of course they do, because why would this man not have guards?
Right.
He's a warlord.
Of course, yes.
And then Turgan is mad at her for running away, so he decides to beat his first wife.
Yeah.
And
but she was supposed to be keeping an eye on her. And remember that girl came in crying, and so they took her off. Naya came in crying, so they took her off to comfort her, and that's when she got away.
Right, but I don't think he was beating the first wife because she was supposed to take Sam away. I think he was beating the first wife because it was the thing of like, Sam is still pretty.
No, he said, because he told her, he said, because of what you've done, now they have to be punished or something.
Yeah, like, no, but he said because of what you've done, they have to be punished. But I really, to me, felt like one of those things where like, I can't beat the new, fresh, beautiful one, so I'll beat the old one because she's already been beaten.
Oh, see, I took it the other way. But
okay. But basically, because then Sam steps in and she's like, no, if you are angry and you want to beat somebody, like, don't punish other people for what I did. Like, beat me. And so Naya is grateful to Sam for protecting her mother. And Sam gets all feministy on Naya. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're allowed to say no. And she's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, okay, but like, yeah, you are.
Okay, but she's not really.
Right. That's the thing. I'm all for giving oppressed people a voice.
Right.
But there's a difference between systematically changing things to make oppression go away and telling one oppressed person to stand up. Because while you need one to cause a ripple, things don't change because one person stands up.
Right. And that one person is usually going to not fare very well.
Correct. And so I think part of why people don't care for it is because of the like recklessness of it. I totally get why. I totally get why Sam was angry. I would be angry too.
Of course, yeah.
But to just be like, no, stand up to him, get over it.
And she's like much more rational of a character than she was shown in this episode. Like,
yes.
Normally she would take, again, this is the third episode I've seen, but normally it seems she would take it step by step. She would think it over. She'll be very rational. And this was not that.
I think that when it comes to oppressed women, she stops being rational.
I think so too. And like, I mean,
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we see the team has arrived at Turgan's camp, and Mughal kind of fills them in on what kind of man Turgan is, and they go, oh, cool. So like we need to get Sam out right this second. Great. So then as a way to distract them, Sam and Naya just straight set fire to a tent.
Look, I guess there are worse things to do.
The problem is I don't actually know what that accomplished.
I don't think it accomplished anything.
because at the same time, the team is negotiating for. Oh, no, I guess Naya did get away.
But not really.
Not really, but she ran away and went and joined Abu and then got caught later.
Right.
But so the team is negotiating for Sam's return, and they tell Turgan that she's the chieftain of their tribe and a shaman. And he's like, I'm not an idiot. I don't believe you. And they're like, we'll give you 400 pieces of gold. And he's like, nope. They're like 500 pieces of gold. And he's like,
Jack's like,
nope.
Jack's like 500. And McGall looks at him. He's like, we'll pay you back.
Yeah. And then Jack just pulls out a gun and shoots it in the air and is like, how about that? And he's like, okay. So then everyone has left. Well, they say that they have to leave quickly because there are only 5 rounds left in the gun and they need to get out of there before Turgan realizes that he has only a gun and no ammunition.
Right. Very smart.
And they're off eating at a campfire. And they do this thing that they do all the time where they mention other missions that we will never get to see.
Yeah, I noticed that. And I was like, how did they go to like 5 places when we've only been 3 episodes and those were not any of those places?
Correct. They will accomplish a lot of missions that we don't get to see, which it will continue. And it's actually kind of good for character development because like it would be boring to see every single day of their lives.
Yeah, but we're so early in the beginning that it's
no, I get it. I get why that would be kind of a weird jump to make. But apparently because Sam says she's never been happier to see them, and Jack says, really? What about that time on that one planet where you drank that thing and then you took off and she was like, no, we're not gonna.
Wouldn't that have been a fun episode? That would have been so funny.
Yeah, probably. But
it was very fairy-esque, and I understand they're all humans and not actually like, magical creatures. But it made me when she went and said that.
But then as they're talking about this, they get interrupted by Abu running back in because Naya got caught and they are going to stone her to death for running away with Abu. And they're all brainstorming how they can solve this issue. And they decide that they are going to fight Turgan with the law, not force.
But also, they were talking about Abu, and they said he has the madness that Mughal had as a younger man. And they said, what? He says, love. And
they said it because Mughal says he has the madness, and everybody and Sam was like, what are you talking about? And Daniel's like, that's what they call love here.
Yeah. So now I will be referring to love as the madness the rest of all time.
It's a pretty accurate description, truthfully.
I think so.
And then we get what I think might be the most heartbreaking scene of the entire episode, because they are showing Turgan trying to lead the people in stoning Naya. And we've seen before in conversations with the characters, Sam's like disbelief at how Turgan is treating his daughter. And Mughal's like, you have to understand, like, he has to be a tough leader, and he has to be even tougher if it's his own kid. Like, that's how you lead people. And so Naya's like, please don't do this. Please forgive me, Father. And he leans over and whispers in her ear that he does forgive her, but then still gives the order to stone her.
It was so sad.
So then Mughal and the SG team show up, and Mughal challenges him to a duel for like the spirits or the gods or whoever to decide who's actually in something. I don't know. I don't really fully understand who was in charge of this duel. And Turgan was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to fight you. You're old and crippled. That's not really fair. And he's like, and there's no other chieftains here. And they were like, oh, remember that time we lied about Sam being a chief? Perfect. So Sam is the chieftain who's going to fight. And so Sam and Turgan start fighting. And Jack's like, how do you know who wins this fight? And Mughals like, oh yeah, no, NBG, just a casual fight to the death.
Yeah. I will say these were much better fighting visuals than the last fighting scene we had. Like episode 2, I think it was episode 2, I don't remember.
Yeah. But that's because this was also more like actual just hand-to-hand combat, which is easier to fake.
Well, no, it was hand-to-hand combat it was in like who was it with? Tilk, he was doing like karate chops and stuff.
Oh, the Tilk and Kowalski scene.
Yeah. And it was hand-to-hand. It was just bad.
But so Sam incapacitates him and refuses to kill him, but won't like say that she won until he like basically cries uncle. Like he says that Naya and Abu can get married and that he's not going to go to war with the Shavadai and that Sam has won the duel. And so in response to Sam winning all of this for them, the Shavadai free their women.
It's so nice.
And then the SG team goes home. And somewhere in this storyline, there was a really minor thread about how Abu had some new anesthetic drugs.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to take them back and study them. But then
that was way early in the episode.
It was like way early, and then it's like such a minor thread, and they bring it back now to have, had a reason to be on this planet or something. And they were like, well, yeah, but even if we bring them back and they're successful, no one's going to get credit, or none of us are going to get credit because the SG team, like the Stargate operation, is classified.
Right.
And Jack says, oh man, well, I guess I'll just cancel that interview with Oprah. And Jill says, what is an Oprah?
Oh, it made me laugh. I love it. That is all I put. After the women were freed, the only thing I put is, what is an Oprah?
Me too. It says, the Shabbatai free their women. What is an Oprah? I love it. Love, love, love.
Yes.
I do have some trivia. One I already talked about was the horrible episode trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Tilk has less than 10 lines in this whole episode.
I noticed he had very few lines. Like, he was not very active.
No. And then there are two things that don't actually logically make sense in this episode. And that is that in the scene where Sam is cutting up the vegetables, there are potatoes, which the Mongols would have never, like, they're a huge part of Mongolian cuisine now, but ancient traveling Mongols would have never had any access to potatoes because they weren't, they were solely in South America at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is along the same lines, and that is that they're all the cattle in the episode are clearly Highland cattle, which would not have been anywhere near Mongolia.
Interesting. Those are not things I would have noticed, but I do find them very interesting.
Yeah. So who do you want to punch?
Turgan.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sadie feels strongly about Turgan too, apparently.
Strongly into the mic. Normally she does this on the other side of the couch. But yes, Turgan.
Turgan, that's honestly, like, Turgan definitely deserves it the most, but like I also kind of want to punch Abu just for being dumb.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Who was your MVP?
Uga.
Of course, Magal. Everyone else sucked.
That's true. Everyone else did suck.
I mean, they didn't give Teal'c enough credit. Daniel was annoying. Sam was pretentious. Jack was Jack. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So my final thoughts for this episode was
yeah.
I kind of mentioned it, but I really felt like this episode specifically compared so much to Doctor Who because I already feel like the Stargate is like when they're going through time and space with the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Have that, and then they're going with their crew to a place for these people they don't know the culture of, or they're trying to learn about, and there's a problem. They solve it, and then they go back home.
Yeah.
And then I will say I made all of my predictions before I watched any further episodes, so I could still talk about them.
Yeah.
Even though we did watch more episodes.
Okay.
My only prediction was that there's no way to know what's going to happen next because this episode didn't really have anything moving forward. I said maybe we'll see Charade next episode. That was
Maybe. There's I think this show does a lot of things where like you'll have like one or two things that are like threads and you'll have like longer story arcs, but there is a kind of like monster of the week element to some of it, especially in the beginning when they're still trying to like find their footing as a show.
I can see that. I don't dislike it. I just don't make any predictions.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to know what's coming next.
No, yeah, monster of the week shows there is very little room for predictions.
Right. But they're enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I liked this episode.
I didn't hate it as much as people did, but I also didn't really care for it either way. Like I could do without it.
I liked 1 and 2 better, but that's my only references, so.
Right. But yeah, how do you guys feel about this episode? Are you pro removing it from the syndication altogether, or are you or did you enjoy it?
I think that's trash to remove something from syndication if it's unnecessary.
I mean, I just don't get removing things from syndication at all. Like, it's not even like it was removed because it was like culturally insensitive. They were like, it's just not a good episode.
I'm saying, like, that's such a necessary reason to remove it. Like, because some people said they didn't like it. A lot of people maybe, but still.
Yeah, but so tell us how you feel about it. We're once again gonna end the episode awkwardly because we don't know how to end episodes. But you can follow us on all of the social medias at Death and Aliens, or email us at deathandaliens with an S at gmail.com. I don't know how to talk or spell or anything. This episode will be coming out
on Sunday, the 27th.
Oh, so I will be 30 years old when this episode comes out.
Happy birthday late.
Gross.
But you can follow her at.
You can follow me at EMKAY_superstar and see all the shenanigans from my 30th birthday.
And you can follow me at C Club 13 and just see things about Broadway.
That's really all she posts.
That's really all I posts.
But yeah, we will see you for Thriller Thursday later this week. Bye.